Hello everyone, this is Arzu Paksat from Simon Fraser University Medical Image Analysis Lab. I'm happy to present our recent work, Circle Color Invariant Representation Learning for Unbiased Classification of Skin Lesions. Owing to the advancement in deep learning, convolutional neural networks can be helpful decision support tools in healthcare applications, particularly in the field of visually oriented specialties such as dermatology. Recent research has shown that deep learning-based models can provide dermatologist-level performance. In this field, clinical imaging data is being used to develop classification models to diagnose skin cancer, skin lesions, and other different types of skin conditions. Deep learning-based models are built upon a data-driven learning paradigm. Using this paradigm, the models can automatically learn meaningful representations from data and make predictions and decisions based on those. They rely heavily on the data they're being trained on, which leads these models to mimic biases in the data. So, if there is a bias in the training data, it can propagate through the learning process and result in a biased model as well as a biased output. In recent years, addressing the bias in medical image analysis and analyzing the fairness of AI models has been an active research topic. Research on skin color bias in medical image analysis has shown that most public skin disease image datasets are acquired from demographics consisting primarily of fair-skinned people. It has been shown that darker skin is underrepresented in most public available datasets, reported studies, and in dermatology textbooks. However, skin conditions appear differently across skin types, so the data imbalance across different skin types can lead to racial biases in models' predictions. Therefore, before widespread deployment of such models, these performance disparities should be addressed to have a fair classifier. In this work, we aim to mitigate the skin type bias learned by convolutional neural networks and reduce the accuracy disparities across skin types in their predictions. We propose color invariant representation learning for unbiased classification of skin lesions, abbreviated as CIRCLE, to address this problem. We adopt a domain invariant representation learning method and use skin type transformations on clinical skin images and propose a color invariant skin condition classifier. We also propose a new fairness metric called normalized accuracy range that, unlike several existing fairness metrics, works with multiple protected groups, which are, in this case, 6 different Fitzpatrick skin types for our problem. We provide a comprehensive evaluation of our proposed method on different CNN architectures, along with ablation studies to demonstrate its effectiveness. We formally define our problem as the following. We have a dataset D, which consists of input images X, and each input image has a class label Y and a protected attribute label Z. We have M classes and N protected attributes, and our goal is to train a classification model that maps the input to the final prediction of class label such that its prediction is invariant to the protected attribute Z, and the model's classification performance on test is maximized. Our approach is based on domain invariant representation learning. One of the common definitions of algorithmic fairness for classification tasks is based on measuring statistical parity. This fairness definition aims to seek independence between the model's prediction, which is the skin disease prediction in our problem, and the protected attribute, which is the skin type for our task. So based on this definition of fairness, we want to enforce our classification model to learn data distributions that are independent of the underlying skin types. Our proposed model CIRCLE consists of 2 main components, feature extractor and classifier, and the regularization network. The regularization network utilizes a skin color transformer that transforms images across different skin type domains. And after training the skin color transformer, we introduce an additional loss term to our learning objective whose aim is to enforce the domain invariance constraint. This is an overview of our feature extractor and classifier pipeline. We have a classification model f theta that maps the input x to the final prediction y hat. This prediction function f is obtained as a composition of a feature extractor and a classifier. The feature extractor phi e takes x as input and learns a representation r. Then the learned representation r goes through the classifier phi c to obtain the predicted label y hat. And here the representation r is a p-dimensional vector. For our skin color transformer, we use a generative modeling framework to learn a function G that performs image-to-image transformations between skin type domains. Given an image X with skin type Z and a target skin type Z prime, G is trained to synthesize a new image corresponding to X with the subject's skin type changed according to the target skin type Z prime. To this end, we use a star-generative adversarial network, or StarGAN. The goal of StarGAN is to learn a generator G that transforms the data density among multiple domains by using a GAN-based approach. In StarGAN, the generator is given an image and a target domain, which in our task is the target skin type. The generator's goal is to generate a synthetic image in target skin type such that the discriminator D won't be able to distinguish it from a real image and be fooled into classifying its skin type as the target skin type. In other words, the equilibrium state of StarGAN here is when G successfully transforms the data density of the original skin type to that of the destination skin type. After training the skin color transformer, for each input, we randomly transform its skin color and we obtain the latent representations of both the original and synthetic image. Then we enforce the model to learn similar representations for the original and synthetic image by defining a domain regularization loss. So we define our total loss term for the model's training process as a combination of the classification loss, which is the cross-entropy loss, and the regularization loss, which is the squared error distance between the latent representation R of the original image and R prime, the latent representation of the synthetic image. So to summarize the approach and to show its pipeline, the main body of the classification model consists of a feature extractor and a classifier. The classification loss enforces the correct classification objective, and we choose VGG16 as our base network. So we use the convolutional layers of VGG16 as the feature extractor, and we use the VGG16's fully connected layers as the classifier. Then we add a regularization network to this architecture. The skin color transformer transforms input image X with skin type Z into X prime with the new skin type Z prime. Then the generated image X prime is fed into the same feature extractor to get the representation R prime, and then the regularization loss enforces R and R prime to be similar, and therefore enforces the color invariant condition in our approach. In this work, we primarily focus on clinical skin lesion images, so we evaluate the performance of the proposed method on the Fitzpatrick 17K dataset. The Fitzpatrick 17K dataset contains 16,577 clinical images. This dataset includes 114 skin conditions, and you can see the distribution of the skin condition labels in this figure. Notice that the number of images across different skin conditions is not uniformly distributed. In addition to skin condition label, in this dataset, each image has a Fitzpatrick skin type label, which we refer to as FST label through this presentation. The Fitzpatrick labeling system is a 6-point scale originally developed for classifying sun reactivity of skin and adjusting clinical medicine according to skin phenotype. In this scale, the skin types are categorized in 6 levels from 1 to 6, from lightest to darkest skin types. You can see the distribution of FST labels in the Fitzpatrick 17K dataset. Notice that the number of images is considerably lower for darker skin types. Here we can see some sample images of all the 6 skin types from this dataset. Notice the wide varieties in disease appearance, field of view, illumination, and non-standard backgrounds. So our input images are these clinical skin lesion images, and their class labels are their skin condition labels, and their protected attribute is their Fitzpatrick skin type label. We aim for an accurate and fair skin condition classifier. Therefore, we assess our method's performance using metrics for both accuracy and fairness. We use the well-known and commonly used recall, F1 score, and accuracy metrics for evaluating our model's classification performance. For fairness, we use the equal opportunity difference, or EOD metric. EOD measures the difference in true positive rates for the two protected groups. This metric is defined for two groups, privileged and underprivileged, with respect to the protected attribute. We adopt the light versus dark as the two groups for measuring EOD. The light would be defined as FSTs 1, 2, and 3, and the dark would be FSTs 4, 5, and 6. Additionally, to assess fairness in the model's accuracy for multiple groups of skin types, we propose normalized accuracy range NAR to measure accuracy disparities across all the 6 different skin types. Here, we compute the accuracy distribution shift by the difference between the maximum and minimum accuracy achieved across all skin types, and then divide it by the mean accuracy across skin types for normalization. A perfectly fair performance of a model would result in equal accuracy across the different protected groups on a test set, so in that scenario, maximum and minimum accuracy would be equal, resulting to NAR 0. As the accuracies across protected groups diverge, NAR will change even if the mean accuracy remains the same, which indicates that the model's fairness is also changed. NAR also takes into account the overall mean accuracy. This implies that in cases where the accuracy distribution shift is the same, the model with the overall higher accuracy leads to a lower NAR, which is desirable. In our experiments for evaluation, we compare our results with the method proposed by Groh et al., which has the current state-of-the-art performance on the Fitzpatrick 17K dataset for this task. We call their method the baseline. In order to evaluate the effectiveness of the color invariant representation learning process, we perform an ablation study in which we remove the regularization loss from the learning objective of a model and train the classifier with only the classification objective. We call this model the improved baseline. Then we have our proposed model circle, and lastly, in another experiment, we present evaluation with several other backbone architectures. We cover a wide range of CNN architectures, and we perform ablation study on all of those backbones. This table shows the classification and fairness performance results. From this table, we can see that our improved baseline recognizably outperforms the baseline in accuracy and fairness. By using a powerful backbone and a better and longer training process, we more than doubled the classification accuracy on the Fitzpatrick 17K dataset for all the skin types. We can also see that Circle further improves the performance of our improved baseline across all the skin types as well as the overall accuracy. This significant improvement demonstrates the effectiveness of the color invariant representation learning method in increasing the model's generalizability. In addition, Circle shows improved fairness scores, lower EOD, and lower NAR, which indicates that the model is less biased. To the best of our knowledge, we set a new state-of-the-art performance on the Fitzpatrick 17K dataset for the task of classifying the 114 skin conditions. Different model architectures may show different disparities across protected groups. In another experiment, we evaluate the efficiency of our method with several other backbone architectures in addition to VGG16. We cover a wide range of CNN architecture families and a considerable variety in model capacities, from 2.5 million parameters in MobileNet version 2 to more than 24 million parameters in ResNet 50. And for all of these models, we perform an ablation study to evaluate if adding the regularization loss helps improving the performance. Here, the check mark indicates that the regularization loss is active, and the cross mark indicates that it's not active. We can see in this table that when the regularization loss is activated, it significantly improves the accuracy and fairness results in different model architectures. For evaluating the model's performance on adapting to unseen domains, we perform a two-to-other experiment, where we train the model on all the images from 2 FST domains and test it on all the other FST domains. Here we can see that Circle recognizably improves the domain adaptation performance in comparison with the baseline and improved baseline. This shows the effectiveness of the proposed method in improving models' generalizability and adaptation to unseen domains. We further analyze the relation of Circle's classification performance with the percentage of images of the FST groups in the training data. To this end, we consider the FST groups of light skin types, FSTs 1 and 2, with about 5.5 thousand images, medium skin types, FSTs 3 and 4, with about 4.5 thousand images, and darker skin types, FSTs 5 and 6, with about 1.5 images in total in the training set. And for each of these groups, we gradually increase the number of images of that group in the training set, while the number of training images in other groups remains unchanged. And we report the model's overall accuracy on the test set. As we can see in this figure, as the number of training images in a certain FST groups increases, the overall performance improves, which is expected since deep learning-based models generalize better with larger training datasets. However, we can see that for the least populated FST group, or the dark skin types group, with only 13% of the training data, our method demonstrates a more robust performance across experiments. And even with 0% training data of FST 5/6, it achieves a relatively high classification accuracy of 44%. This indicates that when the number of training images is large enough, even if images of a certain skin type are not available or are very limited, our model can perform well overall, which shows Circle's ability to generalize well to minority groups in the training set. So in conclusion, in this work, we propose Circle, a method based on domain-invariant representation learning for mitigating skin type bias in clinical image classification. Circle improves the accuracy for skin disease classification across different skin types for the Fitzpatrick 17K dataset and sets a new state-of-the-art performance on the classification of the 114 skin conditions. We also proposed a new fairness metric called normalized accuracy range for assessing fairness of classification in the presence of multiple protected groups and showed that Circle improves fairness of classification. Thank you very much for your attention.